From the moment she walked into that crowded hotel bar, with trembling hands, and eyes that looked like they held 1,000 unspoken storms, something about her presence felt different, like a quiet earthquake waiting to erupt. She looked flawless to the world, elegant and composed, but the fear hidden behind her steady gaze told a much deeper story, one that destiny had already begun writing long before she stepped into that room. And in that exact moment, when a man moved toward her with anger burning in his eyes, a single father who had never believed life offered second chances found himself stepping toward danger without thinking twice, not knowing that this one moment would change everything. He had only planned to be there for a few minutes. A long week of working double shifts had drained him, and after dropping off his 6-year-old daughter with his sister, he just needed some air. But when he noticed the woman, her back straight, her eyes fixed ahead like she was trying not to break, something pulled him in. He didn't know her, didn't know what she was facing, yet he recognized that defeated inhale, that subtle trembling of the fingertips. It was the same look he once had right after losing his wife, when the world felt too heavy and every room felt like it had more shadows than light. The angry man approaching her was tall, confident in all the wrong ways, wearing arrogance like it was stitched into his clothes. His voice rose sharply, though the words were drowned by the music and chatter. The woman flinched, just slightly, but enough, and that was all it took. The single father didn't think. His body moved before his mind could catch up, and he stepped between the two, gently placing a protective arm around her shoulders. He didn't grip or claim, just shielded. He felt her breath catch, like she wasn't used to being protected. The angry man glared, his jaw tightening, his ego bruised by the interruption. But the father held his ground, calm but firm, telling him with nothing but his presence that harassment wasn't going to happen tonight. After a tense pause, the man scoffed, muttered under his breath, and left, his pride forcing him out more than anything else. Only then did the father step back, giving her space, letting her breathe. She looked at him, really looked at him, like she couldn't understand why a stranger would do that. She thanked him softly, but the gratitude in her eyes felt heavier, deeper, as though he had rescued more than just a moment. She looked relieved, and also scared in a way that didn't match the situation. He sensed it, but didn't pry. Over the next hour, their accidental meeting turned into quiet conversation. She spoke with grace, carefully choosing words, but her eyes betrayed the weight she carried. He told her about his daughter, about bedtime stories, forgotten backpacks, and the chaos of being a parent alone. For the first time that night, she smiled, and it wasn't forced. It was gentle, real, the kind that softened the sharp lines of her worry. They didn't exchange names at first. They didn't have to. Some connections don't need labels. They exist in moments where two souls recognize something familiar in each other. But as they parted, she asked if she could see him again. Her voice shook, almost as if she was afraid he would say no. He didn't. He said he'd be happy to. What he didn't know, what he couldn't even imagine, was that the woman he protected wasn't someone ordinary. Behind the soft voice, the quiet eyes, and the poised demeanor was a life wrapped in power, wealth, and influence. She wasn't just someone important. She was someone whose decisions shaped companies, headlines, and futures. She lived in a world where everyone wanted something from her, where trust was currency, and betrayal was routine. No one had stepped into danger for her, not without an agenda. No one, until him. For the first time in years, she felt seen, not for what she owned, but for who she was beneath it all. As days turned into weeks, their connection grew in small, tender steps. She visited him at the small cafe he worked at, surprising him with how comfortable she looked among ordinary people. She sat beside his daughter at the park, patiently listening to endless stories about crayons, cupcakes, and cartoons. And every night, when she returned to her vast, empty penthouse, she found herself thinking about the warmth of his simple home, the laughter that filled it, the sincere kindness he showed without expecting anything back. But the world she lived in didn't stay quiet for long. People began noticing. Whispers grew. Rumors followed. The same man who had confronted her that night reappeared, this time threatening to expose everything she had tried to run from: her broken engagement to a corrupt business partner, the harassment she faced, the battles she fought behind closed doors. He warned her that being seen with a man like the single father would ruin her, drag her through headlines she wasn't prepared for. For the first time, she was terrified, not for her reputation, but for the man who had unknowingly stepped into a war he didn't understand. But she underestimated him. When the truth of her world began to unfold, he didn't step back, he didn't run. He stood by her quietly, without hesitation, without fear, teaching her that strength doesn't always roar, sometimes it simply refuses to walk away. And in that steadfast loyalty, she found the one thing she had been searching for all along, a kind of love that wasn't built on status, image, or power, but on genuine care. When everything came crashing down, when the threatening man tried to publicly humiliate her at a charity gala, the single father didn't hide in the shadows. He stepped beside her, offering his presence openly, showing her that she no longer had to face the world alone. And as cameras flashed around them, she realized that she had spent her entire life being admired by many, but protected by none. Before the ending, special request: comment, "Kindness wins," if you believe true strength comes from compassion. And in the quiet moments that followed the chaos, as she held his daughter's tiny hand and watched him smile at her like she mattered more than anything else in the world, she understood the truth. Sometimes the most powerful people are the ones who make you feel safe enough to be vulnerable. And sometimes the greatest heroes are single parents who step in without knowing they're saving someone who desperately needed saving. And that night, beneath the soft glow of city lights, she finally felt something she hadn't felt in years: peace.